Welcome to Bedford Depot Park to join us in our celebration, the grand opening for our newly restored historic freight house and our restored rail car number 6211. Before I tell you a little bit about how this project started, there are a few people up here that I just want to recognize, and I'll ask them to raise their hand as we get started. Our state representative, Charlie Murphy, could not be here today because he's in the middle of a budget conference, but his legislative aide, Jeff Fenley, is here. We have the commissioner from Mass Highway, Luisa Paiewonsky. We have former state senator Lucille Hicks is here. Bedford Selectman Kathy Cordes, Angelo Colao, Mike Rosenberg, and Walter St. Ons. And then we have a group of former selectmen. I'm going to call it retired because after being on the board, you need to be retired. And it includes people like Val Asbedian. Bill King said he was going to be here, but I didn't see him yet. And Shelley Mall is down here somewhere. And I don't see any others, but if you do, raise your hand. And Don Corey, excuse me, a former selectman. Also the Bedford Town Manager, Rick Reed, and quite a few members of our boards and committees in town are here as well. This project started way back, and before I stop, I just want to recognize that our state senator, Susan Fargo, just arrived. This project began in 1994. I was on the Board of Selectmen, and one night, two gentlemen approached the board, Jim Shea and John Felios, requesting $500 for a matching grant to put a special places sign up, which finally got done. The sign is on the bikeway commemorating the unique historic significance of this area of Bedford. And the good news is they got the money, they went away happy, and set off to get their sign put together. Shortly after that, though, they came back, I don't know if it was weeks or months later, and they had this vision of a park, and they wanted $20,000. Needless to say, they got their head handed to them and went out of the room and told, get in line with everyone else. I felt kind of sorry for them because they seemed like two very, very sincere people, and did try to help them out with this park that they've tried to do. We talked to the landowners around here to see if we could lease some property from them. We looked at a number of things, and then one day we met with the former owner of this property, the late Jim Stander. You may remember Stander Electric. And we asked him about placing the sign, and Jim said, why don't you just buy the property for me? He kind of floored all of us. We weren't expecting that. And we all looked at each other and said, where are we going to get all the money to buy this place? So we started thinking of every possible thing to do. And then one night I got a call from Jim Shea, who had read a railroad magazine and saw an article about a railroad park in Texas that had been funded with several $100,000 of transportation enhancement money. He says, but I don't have any details of how to do this. So the next day I contacted our state senator back then, which was Lucille Hicks, who's here, and asked her, do you know anything about this? She says, no, but I'll get back to you. A day later, she had all the details, and we were off and running because we had a deadline to submit an application for a grant through MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council. We formed a working committee, we got the proposal in, and a month later, in May of '95, we were told we not only got the grant, but we had the highest score of any municipality, including Boston, for our application. And they wanted to use our application for models for other communities. And I credit Jim Shea for that with his unique publishing skills and all a nice history of the railroad that he put together. Now, that was only the beginning. Little did we know that it was going to take 14 years and all the work that went on and all the setbacks to get to where we are now, from May of '95 until June of 2009. There were so many roadblocks along the way, I could spend an hour and a half talking about them and I wouldn't catch them all. But I do want to say that this project happened because of the hard work and determination of a group of people that wanted to see it happen. And it included people like our state legislators, Susan Fargo and Charlie Murphy, who helped us along the way, and Seal Hicks, who I mentioned before. It also included Luisa Paiewonsky, who is here today, will speak later, who helped us when we ran into a major financial problem along the way. It included all our current and past members of the Board of Selectmen who supported this project right up to the current group and did everything they could to help us go ahead. It included town committees and boards, our Community Preservation Committee, our own committee, which included Angie Colao, Don Corey, Rick Reed, Rich Warrington, and Rich Jones, and special credit to those two and their people for doing a lot of the work here and making this place what it is. And Rick Reed, our town manager, I have to say, he decided to help us out from the very beginning, rolled up his sleeves, worked with us for the entire stretch. And had it not been for him, there was a couple of times when we were ready to give up, and he really came through for us and helped us a lot with a lot of the high-level stuff. And then there was Dan O'Brien, who's here. Dan, put your name up. He's an Amtrak locomotive engineer standing right there. And had it not been for him, I don't know how this rail car would have got restored. And when we do the tour, I want you to look at some of the pictures. When I first saw this thing with Jim Shea, I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I said, this is nothing but scrap metal. It was that bad. And then the most significant group of people is Jim Shea and the Friends of Depot Park. I can't begin to tell you the thousands of hours that they put in to make this project a reality. People like Odd Ellis and people like John Filios, who can't be with us today, and many other friends that not only donated so much of their time, they got that rail car from the MBTA and then did a tremendous amount of work to move it from North Billerica to here. Then they had to buy wheels for it. They also got another grant and built an actual replica of the narrow gauge railroad, which is right up the street, and the continuation of the bike path. And then they got the idea to open this welcome center up. And until we had to close it for restoration, they raised over $26,000 for the town for this project. Before we introduce the next speaker, I want to give everyone who helped us get here a big hand.